Hello and welcome to the Oregon Files podcast. First, our disclaimer. We are novice podcasters simply for entertainment and knowledge. If we misquote or offend, it was not on purpose to do so. Today, we are at the Eugene Public Library. Is this public?
Yep.
Eugene Public Library. Oh boy, is it ever public. And we are in a very ad hoc room to do a wonderful interview today. But first, my co-host, Elliot Bowman.
Thank you so much, Mark. Like Mark said, we're in Eugene today. We ventured out of our safe space of Mark's attic. Folks, if you want to get a hold of us, it's Oregon Files Podcast at yahoo.com. Check us on Instagram. Send us a message there. We have our website, www.theoregonfilespodcast.com. It's super cold out. You can get sweatshirts on there if you want some sweatshirts, t-shirts. I think we have hats and mugs on there. And hope everyone's staying nice and warm during these winter months here because, god dang, it's cold out even today. And I hope you all enjoyed our last episode when we did a century-old murder, Little Lava Lake over in Brothers, Sisters, Oregon area. If you haven't checked that out, please check it out. And just appreciate, as we're rolling into the new year here again, all the support. And we just have another incredible interview today. We're talking with I use the word local artist, but I think as we'll talk to her, I think she's more than local is what I'm trying to get at here. Her name's Isla Rose, and you can check her art out at ilaroseart.com. She's also on Instagram. And Isla, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. We'll kind of just jump right into this. Did you grow up in Oregon, Pacific Northwest, Eugene?
Yep, I did. I actually grew up in Eugene.
Okay.
This is my hometown. And if you had asked me when I was a kid if I thought I'd be here in my 40s, I would have said, hell no.
Yeah.
But the more I've traveled and come back, the more I realize how privileged and lucky we are to be from this area. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did you went to school here through high school?
Yeah, I even went to the University of Oregon.
Okay. Okay. Is that where you studied art there?
Yeah, I
Okay.
studied art there, yep. But I had a little gap in between high school and college to find myself, you know?
What's like the art program there at U of O? Is it pretty good?
It was great. You
Yeah.
know what I love about art school or being in school in general for art is just being in a learning environment where you have feedback from peers and you have time to commit to studio work. That was pretty much like what I got out of it, I would say.
Yeah.
But I also tell people that I would have been doing what I do, degree or no degree, because I'm a dedicated artist.
Yeah. The passion.
Yep.
So when you were growing up, what was that sort of early artistry look like for you? Was it like right off the bat, you could tell you were going to be the amazing artist you are now, or did it kind of like slowly develop?
I was definitely the kid that just like drew all the time.
Yeah.
Like my mom said that was the one thing that she couldn't pull me away from. So I always knew that I was into art. I didn't really understand it. But you know, when you're drawn to something at a young age, you're compelled toward it, you do it a lot. So you're going to get better. You're going to get validation for that. And that just sort of a spiral that echoed into the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Were your parents artists too, or?
Not particularly. I mean, we'll talk about it, but I believe everyone's kind of creative and there's creative thread in my family, but nobody is specifically an artist. My grandpa was a singer and they called him Singin' Bob, but that's about as much official artistry as runs in my family.
Growing up, like in elementary school, was there like an early art teacher that kind of inspired you to kind of push that passion?
Oh, yeah. The one, I mean, all of my teachers, I think, were very encouraging, but the one that I'm still friends with to this day, who throughout my life kept showing up and offering me opportunities. In fact, I saw her a couple days ago, was my 5th grade teacher, Meryl Watrous.
Okay.
And she still lives in town. And oh my God, like she's been there throughout my life. So yeah, in elementary school, that was a really impactful relationship.
Mm-hmm.
She was very encouraging.
Is she still teaching today?
Yeah, I think she's retired, but she still finds ways to influence people and has relationships with so many students. And I think she volunteers at like a senior living facility, and she's a wonderful person. Yeah.
So do you remember like some of your early drawings? Like from TV, like cartoon characters, or was it
Mm.
like from real life, like kind of
I
emulate what you saw in your life?
Yeah, I did that. I remember drawing characters.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I don't remember ever, I saw some anime, but like it wasn't like, oh, a specific style of cartoon. But I remember being really interested in creating characters. So, like, I remember I did like a pig character and it was like punk rock pig and like party pig and nerd pig, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
I would draw this pig in all its different versions of
yeah.
itself. But you saw characters, you
Right,
know,
right,
and animals. I loved drawing animals.
right.
Nature was always a big part of
Yeah,
our lives growing up.
yeah. So you went to art school in college, and then you kind of had what was kind of the break in between going from college to what you do now?
Well, so after high school, I didn't get through high school confidently. I was
Yeah,
like, I don't care about high school because life was a little tumultuous. So after that, I
yeah,
did some traveling. I did some messing up. I did some like learning from life's
yeah.
moves and went to college, right, to like satisfy the idea that if you have a degree, you've made it or something. And so then after that, it was kind of like, okay, I have a bachelor with a focus in art. I don't know, what am I gonna do? And I worked in the school district as an instructor's assistant, loved that job. I worked in restaurants, I worked as a barista, all the while making art on the side, and did that basically up until I turned 30, and then I was living in San Diego at the time and got fired from a coffee shop job that I just, like, wasn't holding down well,
Mhm.
and that's when I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna see if I can just do it as an artist full time," and I've been doing that ever since.
Wow.
Can't say it's easy, but I've been
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah. What were kind of like the early years like trying to get your foot in the into the scene?
When you first start trying to, quote, "make money
Y
off art,"
yeah.
it's like such a dance of learning how to work with people, and people don't know how to work with artists. So it's like you make a lot of mistakes, you have a lot of bad communication, you get paid shit for like little dinky jobs. And it was a lot of that for, I would say, through my 20s, doing like posters for bands and CDs and, I mean, you're working for other artists who don't make a lot of money either. So a lot of experimenting with how to work with other people and then also doing my own work and trying to have little shows wherever I could,
Mm,
coffee shops and things
mhm,
was kind of the beginning.
mhm. Would you say your style has sort of evolved into what it is now? Like
Oh yeah,
trying to find your sort of own voice through your artwork?
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I think like morphing from the character sort of thing, I went into just like weird creatures and bizarre stuff. I've always been influenced by artists that have really like kind of
Mhm,
strange, bizarre work, and so I was playing around with that, and then I I moved to Portland in my late 20s and started doing more elaborate watercolors with more detail and kind of hashing out this style that I say is like subconscious vomit, just like everything and anything, and you're just like, "Wow, what's going on?"
yeah,
And now I'm trying to go into saying more with less.
yeah,
So, yeah, it's definitely evolved, and it will always evolve.
yeah,
I think art style should evolve contrary to the art world opinion, I think, which sort of expects artists to, like, maintain a consistent style. Like, I think if you're a creative, you're always changing and, learning and growing, you know?
yeah. The art, like, on your website, like, style is like watercolor? Is it paint? Like
It's all a lot of different
yeah.
styles, so, like, I started using watercolor pen and ink and doing, like, an illustrative kind of thing,
Mhm,
and then I started using acrylic and oil, so, now I kind of bounce between, and it is sort of like, subconscious exploration landscapes, and I don't always know exactly what I'm working toward, which makes it a much more time-consuming
really?
process. Yeah.
So you kinda start with a concept and with an idea, and you kinda just build from there?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like I just ask myself, what imagery are you drawn to right now? I have this concept called the language of symbols or symbolic lexicon that we each have our own personal symbolic lexicon. And then there's like a collective symbolic lexicon, like Jung's archetypes or, you know, imagery that's been found throughout time and space that's connected, but between people and cultures that weren't in contact, right? So that I think of as like this archetypal symbolic lexicon. But anyway, so the personal symbolic lexicon, like imagery that comes to you in your dreams, or that you're like, I feel like drawn to a bear. I'll start there sometimes. Or I'll start with a concept like, I don't know, like maybe based on something I'm currently struggling with, and then do some research and sketches and see how it unfolds.
Do you like wake up with an idea and you have to like, I gotta get this down real quick?
Sometimes the
Yeah.
process is always different.
Yeah.
And to be honest, right now, I don't have a lot of time to do my own work as a
Okay.
professional artist. So
Right.
I'm like looking for other side hustles so I can get back to
Yeah.
doing my own work.
Yeah, man, some of these I'm gonna put, like, a link to your art, but, like, I just can't even wrap my head of how you even
there's-
come up with some of these stuff is just absolutely incredible.
So my favorite,
And which one's that
that
one?
one's right there with the elephant ears. Just
This
got the
one
flow.
here?
Yeah, because your artwork has this really beautiful symmetry. A
Mhm.
little bit I've noticed that kind of stuff in duality. It's very deep.
Yeah.
You're-
Matrix of creation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Me-
interesting. I did kind of go through a phase that was more symmetrical, and like I guess I am kind of drawn to that, but I do it all by hand, so it's
Oh, wow.
imperfectly symmetrical, so that because that's how nature is and that's how life is. It's like we like symmetry, but also it's never perfect symmetry.
Right.
But yeah, Matrix of creation is very much about like femininity and like the space, the creative force, right? So
Amazing.
the elephant being a matriarch and
Oh.
Do you take, like, people that you have in your life and put it in your artwork?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. If I have like human forms, I usually use references. And I mean, I feel like it's of note that my sister is a huge part of my life. She's has cerebral palsy, and
Mm,
so my relationship with her has really her name's Rena, has really kind of defined my relationship with the human form and
mm,
the human experience in my art. And so she and me are always in there somewhere in some way,
mm.
whether it's physically or energetically.
Beautiful. She's almost kinda like your muse.
She's totally my muse. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Can I ask you about, this one here? I don't know how to describe it, but
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
you can describe it.
I don't know if that one has a name, but it's
Yeah.
circular. It's a circular canvas, and it's a child that's grasping a dove that looks like it's been shot.
Mm,
And it was really inspired by the genocide in Palestine, but also I think relates to like US issue with way too much gun violence and school shootings and how children are affected by violence. And so also the ICE issue with children being taken and families being separated and how that affects children. So
right.
it's really about like looking at how violence affects children and
Mm.
how that can reshape our relationship to how we think we need to resolve conflict.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much emotion just from
Yeah.
that's tough.
That's one of my most recent.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
And do you like it's hard to ask this question, but do you have, like, favorite ones that you've done? Even like, your early stuff, would you say that's your favorite because maybe that's, like, your I don't know, like, your early stuff, like, I feel when you start finding your own voice and, like, maybe that's where your most creativity was in your early on, like
There are attachments to particular pieces based
Yeah.
on how they, quote, leveled up where I felt I was at with my
Right.
development.
Right.
But there are definitely some pieces that really stand out in my mind as like some of my personal favorites, either because they have a story or the sort of feel of them. Like if you go all the way to the top there, Beloved is the one where there's the wolf lion figure grasping
Oh,
the
mm.
skull figure, and there's this dance of like ecstasy and suffering
Mm.
and mushrooms kind of growing out from the
Right.
womb, and this couple in this like devouring embrace emerging from a womb like
Mm.
flowery orifice, and I just feel like it really embodies the dance that we do as humans between pleasure and pain and
Right.
death, decay, and birth and growth. It's like it's all encompassing in that.
Mm.
So I really like that one. also it's just like it hits you when you look at it. You're like, oh,
Right.
yeah,
There's just so much detail in all these. It's like you have to really, really look at them to
totally.
kind of get. It's. Have you ever seen oh gosh, the show in Vegas.
Siegfried and Roy?
Oh no, Cirque du Soleil.
Oh yeah.
That's what kind of reminds me of. Like you don't. There's like so much you really have to pay attention to.
I love
there.
people often come to me and they say, "Well, what does this about? What does this
Yeah.
one mean?"
Yeah.
And what I love about my art is it's kind of like a Rorschach test, and I can be like, "What do you see in it? What do you
Yes.
feel in it?" And then we all discover as we talk about it, like what the emerging symbolism is and how it affects people, what the viewer sees in themselves through viewing it, where, it came from in me, and like how that all connects, because it's symbols, the language of symbols is just very profound and
Mhm.
interesting.
Why do you think, as human beings, we have the need and feel to create art?
That is the crux. That question is my favorite,
Yeah.
because I think, simply put, we were born with opposable thumbs, with the potential to destroy and create.
Mm.
And we're obviously very practiced in the art of destruction. And I think creation is the balance of that, where we are learning our own authentic expression. The practice of creativity asks us to find our unique voice and basically to put out energy rather than taking it in. We're also very practiced at taking in energy through media, through other people's ideas, religion, whatever. And so creativity asks you to put out energy that is authentically from you, from somewhere inside of you. And there's something to that practice that helps us reconnect with source, or whatever you want to call it,
Right.
that's innately our own, but also everybody's. Nobody's telling you what to create, what to do. You're finding it within yourself. And that also contributes to a sense of confidence and, pride in your productivity and growth and all of that. So I think of the creative practice as the point of art, not the object or the product, but the act of practicing creativity. And I think of it as similar to meditation or exercise that is essentially imperative to the health of the human spirit.
So the act of doing a podcast and not the result is what matters.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
That's what I took from that.
Yes.
That was beautifully said.
Yes, very beautifully said.
Thank you.
I mean, I cannot wait for people that haven't seen your art to see your art.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, that's probably my favorite takeaway of all this is to hear you talk about and just it is just unbelievable. So you also got involved too with the Oregon County Fair, right? You do their posters?
Yeah, the Oregon Country Fair.
Sorry,
Yeah.
not county. Sorry, Country Fair.
Careful, no.
Sorry.
Yeah, I did the posters for 2016, 17, and 18.
Oh, cool.
And that was just a jury process. So, I saw the call and I applied, and I remember as a kid, growing up, the Oregon Country Fair is kind of like a staple Eugene event.
Right.
And I remember seeing the posters and thinking, I'm going to do one of those someday. And so, yeah, I got
That's
it.
awesome.
Yeah. And it was lovely working with them. It was a really cool process. I think that the Oregon Country Fair is really fair about paying their artists. So I want to give them a lot of props for that. It was a really good experience for sure.
So they're really kind of picky on who they select for their posters?
Well, as picky as they can with the amount of applicants. So the year that I applied, I think I want to say there were 50 applicants. So that's, fairly competitive, which is cool. Some years I think they have more or less. I'm not totally sure. And then some years, I think that they may have invited me in one year. It's hard to say. I imagine that some years going through the whole process maybe there's a little bit too much going on to do that. So they have had several artists return like they did with me. Yeah.
And do you have, sorry if I don't know this, but do you have a storefront too? Is it all, or is it online?
It's all online, yeah. I tried to have a storefront last year, and I just, couldn't quite get it together. So, yeah.
And talk about the other projects you're working on as well too. I know you were saying that you have an installment somewhere on the Coast that you're gonna be
Oh, yeah.
you're gonna be doing here soon in February? Is that right?
Yeah, at the Oregon Coast School of Art in Gardner, which I think is near Coos Bay. I'm having a solo show that's also kind of a retrospective. A lot of previous collectors or buyers are lending back some of my like
Oh,
very
that's
special
freaking
pieces.
awesome.
Yeah, so that's going to be in April.
Okay.
Really excited about that. There will be the opportunity to see a bunch of this work together that has never been together before. So I'm really excited about
Okay.
that.
We'll say that again. Where is it at?
The Oregon Coast School of Art in Gardner.
In Gardner.
Yeah.
And you're not sure the dates yet, or do you know the dates?
April, so I'm
Okay.
imagining that the opening is probably the first Friday, but
Okay.
I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
This is a very last minute show.
Yeah.
Honestly, usually artists and curators will put things together months in advance, but we're just like, let's do it
Yeah.
and throw it. So
And this
it'll
is
be advertised on my Instagram once I
okay.
have the dates.
And this is just your own exhibition, your own artwork?
Yeah, I think we may invite another artist, Leighton Blackwell, who works in Newport,
Mhm.
maybe a part of it. That's all I know
Yeah.
for now. If he's available, then
Yeah.
he'll show some work, but the main room will feature my work.
Is that the first time that's been done? Your work's been featured in
Oh, like that I've had a big solo show?
Yeah.
I have had a couple solo shows. The first was in Wairika.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And that was actually a great show. I
Mhm.
can't remember, sorry guys, but I can't remember the name of the gallery, but my friend Maureen curated that show and it was like 24 pieces and I sold all but one piece. And so that was a really, really excellent show.
Man, is that nerve-wracking going into shows like that? Like,
The
hoping that everything sells, or is it just you wanna get exposure? Like, where
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the hoping things sell part is kind of like I let that go a little. Like I don't want to bank on my art being making me rich or so a lot of it is exposure. It's excitement around showing my art
Yeah.
in a different setting. The biggest nerve-wracking part of it is getting everything together, getting everything framed, getting all of the writing done that I want to get done and, you know, just figuring out how to make it really professional because that's something that's come to me
Right.
in experimentation. Like I'm not organized
Yeah.
typically. Getting better, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That is still so exciting.
Yeah.
So when you're not creating art and you're not, working, doing your thing, like what do you do in your downtime, your spare time? Like, how do you unwind and relax?
Oh my God. I just want to say to all of the young people that want to be artists out there that
Don't.
it is very hard to feel like you have time to relax when you're in charge of every aspect of your career and making enough money to survive. So that's been a challenge. I've fortunately bought a home. It's in Glenwood, and so
Nice.
it's like I just never thought I'd be able to on an artist's income, but that requires a ton of work. And then, when I'm not working on art, I'm just managing all my daily life chores. So, ideally, when I have the time to do what I want, it's usually like being in nature, being with friends. I do yoga and try to find ways to relax. I
Yeah.
try to schedule those in,
Yeah.
make time for them. Self-care is like vital.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
How would you sort of explain, or how do you feel like the Oregon art scene is, or the Eugene art scene? Like, what type of community do we have here in Oregon as far as like the art scene?
I'd be curious what other Eugene artists feel, but my general sense is that Eugene calls itself the art city, and I think there's a real attempt at figuring out how to create a thriving art scene. And within the last few years, I've seen some great things happening. They're forming an art sector, and so they're bringing art like local artists from different areas together to talk about how do we basically build this art scene, right? But one thing I feel that's kind of missing is some kind of connective network that's a little more grassroots that people are really drawn to in order to be an artist community. It feels that there's this separation between kind of an elite art community and like the working artists. And so that's something that I'm interested in exploring as a local artist that I do feel like a lot of people are aware of. Just like, how do we bring people together just to be in creative space and creative community together casually, not so much formally in this like art city setting, but just to generate really excitement on a grassroots level around art.
And you do murals as well?
Yeah. Murals are they have been the bread and butter. That's kind of starting to fall away a little. Yeah.
Are there murals around Eugene that people would recognize that you've done?
Yeah, quite a few. My first mural done in 2016 is on Blair between 5th and 6th, and it's this reclined, I call it the deity of the Whitaker figure. It's got blue skin and it's kind of enmeshed with its natural environment, but there's this power pole shooting up behind it. It sort of hangs out in the environment. And I really like that one. Actually, I have a good short story that while I was working on it, it got tagged partway through.
Okay.
And I was showing up at 4 a.m. to beat the sun, and I show up this morning and it's just tagged, and I'm just like, oh God. So, okay, let's get to work. Let's fix this. Well, the whole time I'm working on it, there's a lot of unhoused people that come around and chat with me, and they become very attached to it. In a lot of ways, like this figure sleeping in nature outside is relatable, right? And so they started sleeping at my site to protect the mural.
Oh, that's killer.
And it just like really special, I feel like a lot of times the unhoused population gets more flack and shit than the people who are trying to survive as well. And that to me was like a really beautiful example of how
that's awesome.
There's humanity everywhere, We just have to be open to seeing it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you prefer like one style of art over the other, like posters, murals, or your own work?
I mean, I love painting for myself. Doing like commission painting work is not my favorite job. Murals as a job, I think I like, except as I'm getting older, they're getting much harder on my body. So I'm gravitating a little bit toward teaching. Teaching art is really something that I love, and like being able to talk like we are now about how creativity as a practice is health, like important for health. It's just like I'm trying to figure out how I can move my career in a direction where I can be an advocate more for that. But I'm just going with the flow. I still have to like take on jobs one after the other just to pay the bills. So
yeah. Do they, maybe you don't know the answer, but do they still teach a lot of art in schools? Like in the Eugene School District, they have like pretty good art programs like in the public schools?
I can't say for sure, but I do know that arts have been cut dramatically since I was in school. I think that there are certain programs that parents and kids can enroll kids in, but I don't have very much information on that. Unfortunately, I do think that it's not at the forefront of most curriculum.
It's not that's not where the budget goes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just tragic, really.
It really is. If creativity and art is super, super important, even like music, because I don't feel like music's really a big part of budgets.
Nope. I say art is medicine. Getting kids in touch with their creativity is vital. And I think that like a lot of kids have the experience of what I call art trauma in school. It's like this idea that you're either born a natural artist or you're not an artist, that there's good and bad art. And I think that in a lot of ways that was kind of backed up in how people taught art in school. So a lot of kids went through the school system thinking, I'm just not an artist. I'm not good at art. And I don't even want to try, right? But looking at it differently, reframing it as like a creative practice and why is creativity healthy, to me is a whole different way of talking about how important the practice of art and creativity is, So, yeah. I don't know how we can get that in schools, but that's what I think should happen.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Have you ever had somebody try to commission like a painting with you that was like a weird request? Like,
I've had all kinds of commissions.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm working on a psychedelic cat memorial portrait
a
for,
psychedelic cat memorial.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, for this guy in New York.
Oh, cool.
So I do pet portrait commissions,
Okay.
and they're pretty simple, cut and dry, like send me some pictures, I paint your pet, right? But I also do something I call reading paintings, which
Okay.
are more elaborate, more expensive, and basically I do like an interview and I ask a bunch of questions, and then they give me total creative freedom to kind of like do some kind of psychedelic interpretation of whatever I get
That's
out of that.
awesome.
So this guy wanted like a cross between a portrait of his cat who recently passed and this reading painting. So that's been an
Man,
interesting.
that is cool.
Yeah.
Does that happen often where pets pass away and then they want you to memorialize them in paintings?
I've never had the psychedelic like full on like I'm doing now,
Yeah.
but I have painted a lot of passed on pets for sure. I'm doing most of my pet portraits around the holidays, so
Yeah.
people are buying them for friends and loved ones who
Right.
lost a pet.
Hmm.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
I got 3 chihuahuas. I saw this
Well, you
$50
know where
print.
to go now, buddy.
Bring it on, bring it
Oh,
on.
heck yeah.
Man. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I would
never
say
knew.
if people are interested in pet portraits, it's on my website, but
There you
reaching
go.
out to me directly is always good too.
Yeah. IslaRoseArt.com.
Yeah.
If you weren't, this is a tough question. If you weren't an artist, Isla, what would you be doing?
Oh, this is a great question.
Yeah.
I wrote down some
You
good
got your
ones.
notes.
Yeah. I mean, the non like funny answer
Yeah.
is really that I've developed a really keen interest in restorative justice. I feel like reforming the criminal justice system
Yeah.
and how we deal with conflict in that way, in a like with a focus on healing and not punishment,
Right.
is something that could impact humanity profoundly. So I'm like super interested in that. Art therapy, teaching, those are the like, if I wasn't doing this, I'd do that answers. But okay, I've got this list here.
Okay.
I'd be a mountain man,
Okay.
a cowgirl bandit, a clown, a monk, a children's show host, and a ventriloquist.
Okay. Interesting variety there.
I love it. It's a variety show.
All right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Were those like different careers you've like thought about like over the course of your life? You're like, this is what I could be doing. This is what I would want to do.
Well, it's funny because I'm going through the book The Artist's Way, which is a book on creativity, and she has this prompt of like, if you could have been anything in the world, what, like, think of the most strange things you would have been. And so I had already written those down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But each of them has qualities that I would say I would relate to, like the mountain man just being the like loner kind of forest wizard. And then like the bandit cowgirl, like rebellious kind of outlaw.
Yeah.
The clown and the ventriloquist and the children's show hosts are all just like
Yeah.
my goofy, dorky, like
Right.
playful side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, do you have a favorite artist, past or present? Do you have like somebody that inspired kind of you and maybe your work?
Yes, I have a little list here of that too. I have to make lists with names because I just don't retain names very well. So
Yeah.
I had to write these down. I really like this artist named Rodel Tapia. He's a Filipino painter. His work's really like modern and mythical. So yeah, a really cool collage of like probably mostly Filipino mythical imagery, but also you can see there's a lot of political and modern kind of leanings in there. And I love how he mixes imagery together. And he also does things like his characters are really interesting and playful and weird. There's these contemporaries that were like, they were contemporaries of Frida Kahlo, like kind of Mexican surrealist female painters, Remedios Varo and Leonora Carrington. Those are good ones. And then I really like this guy's work, Agostino Arrivabene. He's an Italian painter, and his
Great
work
name.
is, yeah, I love that name.
Mm-hmm.
His work's like really textured. I think he does things like even burning the canvas and stuff, but then like really ethereal beings with like nature capes, and they're growing and they're flowing. And then one that you don't consider a painter, Khalil Gibran, who's known for his The Prophet, the book The Prophet.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful artist too, and he would have considered himself a poet and an artist. But his art is very much kind of like his paintings, really spirit and emotion and form based, and I love his work. So that's what came to mind when I looked at that question.
Have you ever gone to like an art museum or like an art gallery and you see a piece of art and you think, I'm not really sure if I consider that art. And also, I'm just gonna say, 'cause we talked to, there's an artist here not here, but in Roseburg. His name's Max. And we talked to him a couple of years ago or last year. And I asked him the same question. Jackson Pollock, when I see his work, I always think like, I know he made a bunch of money, but like, I don't know. When I look at your art and then I look at people splattering paint, I know art's like subjective and everything, but it's just interesting to me. Like what do you feel about like that style art? Maybe not him specifically,
Sure,
but
yeah.
like is that art to you? It's just like, or
I
like a
will-
banana taped to a wall, like
Right.
Banksy.
Yeah.
I love me some Banksy, but like, I don't know, things like that, you know?
Totally. It's a really good question. And I feel like as an artist, people are really careful about how they answer that, but I won't be.
Yeah.
I honestly really think that art that ends up being so academic that it needs an explanation, or it's dependent on like rich people's investment and like trends and whatever, it has its own place. And I'm not going to say that it's not art, because it is. It exists in the world as art, and there are people who appreciate it, people who get something from it. But I am more interested in art that makes you feel and think, tells a story, that feels relatable to the humanity. But you know, art that's, there's a word for it, the art that's like really concept based and heady. I'm not sure. I'm not as into it myself. But I won't tell people it's not art. Yeah.
No, I don't say it's not art, but like, I don't know.
Just subjective is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's different. I don't know.
If I'm honest, I feel like in the higher levels of the art world, art becomes a place that rich people store their money, and they get to decide which thing to store it in. And it's about negotiations with quote unquote artists, as you know, like that's kind of how I see it, that it then becomes more about like
who the name is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreements made amongst rich people.
Right. Well, if you could give your younger self advice, what would it be?
It would be this is a sad one, but it would be probably to go to school and get a degree or continued education in a skill that I could have used as a career alongside my art. For a long time, I was really rebellious toward that idea. And I was like, no, I'm going to prove to the world that artists can live and work as artists and that art is vital. But the truth is, working as an artist can really take so much energy away from my own expression and the time that I have to give that to the world. And that's where the power of what I do is. So I think really, to my younger self and to any young people interested in art, I would say, you know, at least spend a couple years in a trade school, or like having some skills that you can use on the side, so that, and then try being a full-time artist, but that way you have a backup plan and you can still make your art alongside of it.
And then part 2 of that, 10 years from now, where do you hope you'll be at?
You know, I just want to feel secure. Like, I want to know that I don't want to feel like I'm hustling every day to survive.
Yeah.
I want to feel secure. And I don't care where that is. I don't need to be rich. I don't need to be famous. I want to feel like I can still make art that makes an impact in the world, that there are people that are always going to appreciate it, and that I can just survive comfortably enough. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You know, I want to live a humble existence without feeling like it's a constant struggle to get by.
Sure. One battle after another.
Yeah.
Man, it was a good conversation. I would love to I could chat with you probably all day, because I've said this a trillion billion times, even without talking artists, but I am not an artist. But I find people like you guys, you're so your brain works. You're so interesting, the creativity. I find you're absolutely fascinating.
Oh, thank you.
And we'll sidestep to a different question here. Have you experienced any paranormal or Bigfoot stories?
Mm-hmm. I haven't personally. I racked my brain.
Yeah.
But I will tell you the brief Bigfoot experience I have, which is that Bigfoot was a prominent mythology in my life growing up, because my dad loved Bigfoot, and my dad quit college to go looking for Bigfoot.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Did he ever? Oh, I'll let you talk. But did he ever find Bigfoot?
He got poison oak so bad, because he's deathly allergic to it, that he had to come home. And then I think he just got so preoccupied with life after that, his Bigfoot adventures were over. But I'm sure he has some stories, and I'm not sure why I don't have those locked in my brain. But I did paint a Bigfoot mural at the local YMCA, so people can go see it.
That's awesome. How often did he go out looking for him?
I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, like, anytime he's in nature, which is something that's frequent for him, he's always kind of on the lookout, you know?
Was that something like passed down? Like his dad was like, you gotta look for Bigfoot, or is it like, did he like see like a documentary and he was like, oh my gosh, I need to look for him myself?
I'm not sure where he got it from, but I will say that growing up, he became just, nature was his God, his spirit. You know, he lived close to nature and was always interested in the plants and the animals, and spent a lot of his time outdoors. And so I imagine that growing up, he just stumbled upon the lore of Bigfoot and became super fascinated by it. Right now, he's really into aliens. So my dad's a big paranormal guy. Yeah, and I love it. I mean, I got it from him too.
Sounds like we know our next guest.
Yes. Oh, there's some good stories with him. I wish I had time to tell you more.
That's awesome. If you could invite 3 people to a dinner party, dead or alive, who would they be?
Okay, this was a hard one.
This is a tough one.
Okay, I have Rainier Marie Rilke, who's a poet who wrote, I actually only read his book, Letters to a Young Poet, but I really appreciated a lot of what he had to say about being a creative in the world. Pussy Riot, the Russian punk band.
Okay.
Badass rebels just pushing against the machine, you know? Alice Wong is a disability rights advocate. She passed away not long ago. I just wanted to give her a nod to how much work she did speaking about systemic ableism. And Andrea Gibson also passed away recently, a poet who just had profound, their poetry just was really impactful for me. So I just would listen to them recite their poems at dinner and talk about whatever. And then I wrote Alok, who's also a poet and comedian, who brings levity to real issues, especially for the LGBTQX community, about love, empathy, and expression. And I wrote, queer and indigenous family already have the practical wisdom that could save us all. So people who talk about other ways of living that are based around love and empathy, and also just like shining your freak flag. Anybody, throw me in the ring with them. And also Robin Williams.
Oh gosh, of course.
You know,
I love Robin Williams.
Let's get weird and just kindness, love.
Isla, what's your favorite movie?
Okay. This was hard, but I decided on My Left Foot with Daniel Day-Lewis. It was my sister's favorite movie growing up, and really, really beautiful. I really want movies like that to feature actors that have disabilities, but Daniel Day-Lewis did a phenomenal job playing that role. So that was it.
And what's your favorite sandwich?
Okay, I don't usually like sandwiches, not gonna lie, but
It's okay.
I'm gonna plug a local shop here because my partner and I found a place called Scribbles, and they make ginormous, beautiful sandwiches, and we're hooked on the gluten-free tuna melt.
You writing that down, Mark? We love us some new spots.
Scribbles, yep.
Scribbles.
You had a lot of questions.
IslaRoseArt.com, Instagram. Check her out. She'll have dates on her. I keep wanting to call it an exhibition, but that's not what
That
you called
works,
it.
yeah.
You called it
Show or
a
an
showing. Yeah,
exhibition is
exhibition
good.
showing. Yeah, she has her store out there on her website, her contact info. She's on Instagram. She's on Facebook, and
Yep.
she's here with us today. And we just thank you so much for. Again, this is the first time we're meeting, so it's like you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So it was an absolute pleasure to meet you in person and to talk with you and get to know you. And again, I really hope people come out here and see your art because
Thank you. Me
shoot,
too.
it's cool.
Check it out, y'all.
Yes, and again, if you want to get a hold of us, it's Oregon Files Podcast at yahoo.com. Instagram, Mark puts it on the good old YouTube, and we just thank you all so much again, and have a good day.